This is Camnet News. Thank you so much for watching. We apologize for starting the news a bit late. However, we are here. The top stories on our desk this evening. Former Health Minister claims the discharge of the honeybee case is a testimony of a watertight drug monitoring system. Government urged to criminalize torture. Some Lusaka residents resort to bottled water following contamination of boreholes. In international news, Zimbabwe's CCC party ready for rough election. And in sports news, Leeds United set to name ex-WATFORD boss as manager.
Are you looking for a prime land where to build your dream house? There is a beautiful corner plot, 50 by 47 meters in State Road area. For viewing and purchasing of the same, call SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. Secure your future by settling in a nice and peaceful area.
The news in detail. Residents of Kamwala Ward 5, LUSAKA area in Lusaka say they have been forced to start buying drinking water as they depend on a borehole tanks, stating that the water tables have, however, become compromised with fecal matter from septic tanks around. A check by Camnet News found overflowing septic tanks were disposing the fecal matter into the community. They state that this has come about due to the flooding situation in the area, further leading to a number of them being diagnosed with typhoid. Details in this report.
Floods brought about by above normal rainfall which has been falling in many parts of the country has brought a situation which has resulted in disaster in many communities, among them the mixing of soaker wells with drinking water from borehole tanks. This has also brought concern in communities experiencing both sewer pipe leakages and leaking water pipes, as this has caused water from the two sources to merge. Community members of LUSAKA area in Lusaka's Kamala South have been affected by the first scenario, leaving them with no option but to depend on bottled water, as water from the borehole tanks has now been contaminated. A check by Camnet News at the site also found leaking soaker wells, which were disposing the fecal matter to people's yards and around the community. The residents state that while the matter has been reported to the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company, nothing has been done, adding that a number of them have been hit by typhoid.
You just saw the DMMU standing by that side and they just went. They're saying, no, this is not a big problem. And 2 weeks ago I had typhoid because of the same problem. I was just from recovering. So we don't know what kind of a disaster they want for them to come help us. People are not entering that house because of the waters. This water is clogged, it has nowhere to go. It's just like this. We don't know what people are thinking, what the government is thinking about us. If we should just be getting our own monies. If we get our own monies, we started a drainage. Somebody said we cannot make a drainage here. So we don't know what kind of help they need to render to us. We're just buying water. Every day we are getting containers of water. And they are just lasting up to maybe 4 or 5 days. It's finished, we need to get some more.
Water is not going anywhere. Even if you try to open the wells, it's going nowhere. So the challenge we have now is that we've got contaminated water and our sewer system is being now affected. So we've got small kids who are less than 10 years, 5 years. So definitely they may be affected, they may be sick. Like in our neighborhood, one of our neighbors had even typhoid the past 2 weeks. So it's a really pathetic situation.
Meanwhile, Kamwala Ward 5 Councillor Minda Simata has urged the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company to take water bowsers to the area as a matter of urgency.
Because of those floods, we have started to receive reports where the flood water has flooded a lot of residential areas, and now those houses which use soaker wells or septic tanks. The water in the septic tanks with fecal matters began to mix with the flood waters, and it's also contaminating the boreholes. So we've since engaged Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company and the Lusaka City Council to deploy water bowsers to be stationed at strategic points where those people that don't have access to clean water can start having access to clean water. We've also asked for some chlorine powder and other material to be spread around areas which have become a breeding ground for mosquitoes, so that we do not have incidences to do with waterborne diseases coming up.
Camnet News will in the meantime continue trying to bring the situation to the attention of the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company, as phone calls made to the company acting manager for public relations and marketing Shamba Mzungu have been going unanswered. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
United Party for National Development National Trustee Grace Kalowe has warned party members who are in the habit of taking to social media to air out their grievances of suspension or expulsion through the office of the Secretary General. Speaking to Camnet News, Ms. Kalowe says some UPND youths have abused President Hakainde Hichilema's directive for the freedom of expression to disrespecting party officials, among them Republican Vice President Mutale Nalumango. She notes that after meeting with the Office of the Secretary General, the party has resolved that such indisciplined behavior will not be tolerated, as youths have developed a habit of taking internal party issues out to the public. She notes that among those complaints is the appointment of UPND alliance members into various positions, while long-term UPND members have not been given any positions. She has advised them to use the correct route of communication, noting that their concerns will be attended to if they opt not to use social media.
Maybe for the UPND twamangulako too much manati. Everyone aleka kuchita respect our manifesto and our constitution of the party UPND. We can say everything at any time, at any minute, at any second. No, we don't want this lawlessness in our party. We are the party in government. So please, I'm urging the top to take action. This is internal. We don't know you, but we are going to find you. Definitely we are going to find you. We don't know you, but we are going to find you. And when we find you wanted, definitely the party will take its course on these issues, because these are matters internal. We know for someone to come out like that, you are being paid. Even if you are not paid, you don't mean it, you are not a UPND member. Because a UPND member, as I make at the right time and the right minute. So, ish yamene musabaila chabe kama kali open, you are Mr. Right, you are Miss Right. Kukamba anything, anyhow. The party is bigger than one individual. You can either be suspension, you can either be expelled from the party. Let me reduce this step. In UPND, there were about 3 vice presidents of the party UPND. All of them 3, they went. And you and me, we remained. So at each Chikalipa Chumfomuni, if you are feeling this, Chikalipa, find the right time and the right place.
The National Democratic Congress Party has wondered where the opposition Patriotic Front is getting the courage to criticize government when their 10 years in office was an economic mess that is only being cleaned up now. He says going back to the PF is like drinking poison, hence Zambians should have faith in President Hakainde Hichilema. Details in this.
In the recent weeks, the governing United Party for National Development has been criticized for allegedly abandoning its alliance partners and diverting from its campaign pledges, bordering on reducing the high cost of living as commodity prices continue to escalate amid stagnant wages for workers. Tuesday, the opposition National Democratic Congress, during its press conference, started by claiming legitimacy of the party over the Savoy Imbwela camp and affirmed the party's association with the UPND alliance. And the party president, George Sichola, has called on Zambians to remain optimistic, claiming that President Hakainde Hichilema is committed to resolve the problems affecting citizens. He believes the UPND has done a lot of positive things, such as the restoration of the rule of law, the free education policy, and the introduction of meal allowances to students, further stating that the rest of the challenges will equally be addressed.
Zambians must never look back. It is time to focus. It is time to move forward. Going back to PF is like taking poison, like we heard a few months ago. Going back to the PF is like taking poison. It is so surprising that the PF are acting so intelligent over economic matters of this country, even when they had their time to govern for 10 solid years. Indeed, members say, amano ya lubuli yesanga bakuma. Tetibese bakwata amano ya kutungulula ekyalo dida bapumoma elections. Patenga yafuma mu kuteko awo ni shichapo bashika. And those that are thinking that PF can be rebranded and PF can come back, I feel sorry for you.
The opposition leader is impressed that President Hichilema wants to revive the mining sector in the country by recapitalizing Mopani mine and resolving Konkola copper mine KCM issue with Vedanta.
He further revealed that money has been found to recapitalize Mopani and that discussions with Vedanta regarding Konkola copper mines are near completions and business will return soon. This is what the people on the copper belt and Zambia at large have been waiting to hear. We can only clap for this government and urge them to continue being servants of the people. This news has left the unions and suppliers smiling ear to ear.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Apologize for that. However, we continue. Community Action Against Corruption has called on government through the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development to move in and formulate measures that will protect precious minerals that are allegedly being plundered systemically. Organization Chief Executive Officer Bright Tembo regrets that Zambia for a long time has failed to harness the economic potential of gold, diamond, emeralds and other precious stones dotted across the country, leaving it to illegal miners. He is disappointed that precious minerals in Zambia have not been mined in an organized manner for a long time. Hence, these resources are just being wasted.
For a long period of time now in Zambia, Zambia has failed to utilize its economic potential in precious mineral resources. Starting from UNIP, MMD and PF, the country has completely failed to structure the mining of precious minerals. So as a result, the country has not benefited anything from its precious mineral resource. So we appeal now to the new Dawn government to come up with measures that will protect these mineral resources from plunder and also help to structure the mining of these precious minerals so that employment can be created from there, which can help to avert poverty in so many households. Maybe finally, we are also contemplating meeting the Minister of Mines so that we can appreciate what are the challenges that have been there for all these governments to fail to utilize the precious minerals fully for the benefit of the country and the people.
The Zambia National Service ZNS Commander Lieutenant General Maliti Solochi has applauded the efforts of ZNS troops for turning down a 10,000 kwacha bribe from a driver who attempted to smuggle 1,200 bags of 25 kilograms of melamine into the neighboring country. On Monday, 13th February 2023, two servicemen resisted the bribe from a driver of a Volvo truck registration number AHB 1941 and trailer registration number BAA 8987 and impounded the consignment after he failed to produce the necessary export documents. Lieutenant General Soluchi says the action by the deployed soldiers at Kasumbalesa border resonates well with the new government's uncompromising stance against corruption, stating that the troops will further ensure that the country's staple commodity is protected. This is contained in a statement issued to Camnet News by ZNS Chief of Marketing and Public Relations, Brigadier General Chanda Nguluta.
The ZNS commander therefore wishes to send a strong warning to members of the public engaging in the illegal smuggling of mealie meal that his troops will not allow them to deprive the nation of the much-needed revenue. Lieutenant General Solochi says ZNS stands ready to execute its mandate in a professional and diligent manner by sealing all loopholes that may be exploited by traders to engage in the vice. The commander, however, wishes to set the record clear that the Republican President and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Force, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, remains committed to run an open border policy for export of mealie meal, provided that trade is conducted within the confines of the law. He urged traders and millers wishing to engage in that line of business to acquire the necessary documents in order to conduct their trade in conformity with the export quotas granted by the government and the Ministry of Agriculture. Lieutenant General Solochi has further reiterated his command stance to continue with the uncompromising thrust to stamp out the smuggling of the country's staple commodity. Meanwhile, the commander has pledged to reward the 2 gallant troops and any service personnel who will join the 2 in resisting possible compromise by illegal export of the mealie meal.
Former Minister of Health, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, says the withdrawal of the case by the state, where he and 7 others were accused of trying to defraud the state over the delivery of 22,500 health kits supplied by Honeybee Pharmacy, is a clear sign that they were being prosecuted on malice. In an exclusive interview, Dr. Chilufya says the above scenario is an indicator that sufficient evidence is not gathered before matters are taken to court, stating that the country has well-established systems such as the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, which is on high alert and cannot allow expired drugs to be in the country. This is in a case where Dr. Chilufya, along with 7 others, were accused of trying to defraud the state to a tune of over 17 million United States dollars.
Citizens have been waiting for the outcome of a case which flooded both social and mainstream media, where the Ministry of Health, under the leadership of then Minister Chitalu Chilufya, was accused of procuring expired drugs and leaking condoms through Honeybee Pharmacy Limited between 2019 and 2020. Dr. Chilufya was accused along with 7 others, among them former Attorney General Likandwa Kalaluka, former Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Caroline Kakulubelwa, Procurement Officer at the Ministry of Mines Wilson Lungu, a pharmacist Emmanuel Mubanga, and Honeybee directors. This is in a case where Dr. Chilufya, along with the named, were accused of trying to defraud the state of over $17 million worth of 22,500 health kits. The state, however, on 16th February 2023, in accordance with Section 88A of the Criminal Procedure Code, withdrew the case without the reason of the withdrawal being indicated. In his own words, Dr. Chilufya says this is proof that the prosecution was malicious. He was speaking to Camnet News Tuesday afternoon.
I am stating here that the Honeybee has been a hoax, and it is, as I've said all along. As a matter of fact, the people of Zambia must be assured that they were never exposed to expired medicines or leaking condoms. I am a doctor sworn to the oath of saving lives, protecting lives, treating patients, and I would never expose patients to leaking condoms or expired drugs. So this is a shameful shameful, malicious motives.
Meanwhile, the former Minister of Health, who is also a PF presidential aspirant, feels that he is the best candidate to lead the opposition party, as he has been tried and tested during his time as Minister of Health. Dr. Chilufya says key among his achievements as Minister of Health was the construction of secondary hospitals like the Levi Mwanawasa to support the University Teaching Hospital, UTH.
So it is important to note that we invested in a robust public health system, public health security system. We reformed the supply chain. We ensured that there was adequate research in the country. We provided adequate leadership. We are the ones, under my leadership, that set up the National Health Insurance Management Authority, NIMA. And today, it is anchoring health service delivery in the country. So I will extrapolate this transformational agenda onto other health sectors, onto other sectors rather.
The PF presidential hopeful has, however, reminded his party of the need to remain united, stating that he will only lead a party that is disciplined. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has dismissed an application in which Ndozo Lodge's proprietor, Crint Sichamba, accused the Anti-Corruption Commission prosecutors of being aliens, insisting that the officers were not appointed by the Director of Public Prosecutions to prosecute criminal matters. Delivering judgment, Magistrate Irene Washimanga dismissed the application on grounds that the ACC prosecutors are eligible to prosecute as the appointment by the Attorney General mandates them to do so. This is in a matter in which former President Lungo's associate, Crint Sichamba, his wife, son and his two companies are facing 133 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime.
The application by lawyers representing Ndozo Lodge's proprietor Crint Sichamba challenging the legality of Anti-Corruption Commission prosecutors not to prosecute his case on ground that they were not appointed by the Director of Public Prosecution has been dismissed. Former President Edgar Lungu's associate, Mr. Sichamba, is standing trial on 133 counts, charges bordering on corruptly acquiring property. He is standing trial alongside his wife Idora Nambela and son David. The trio have been jointly charged with Ndozo Lodges and Mulozi Trading Limited co-directors and shareholders. When the matter came up for ruling Tuesday morning, Lusaka Magistrate Irene Wishimanga ruled in favor of the state and dismissed the application by the defense. According to the court's ruling, ACC prosecutors are eligible to prosecute criminal matters as their appointment by the Attorney General mandates them to do so. In the last court sitting, the accused through their lawyers challenged the legality of ACC prosecutors, insisting that the officers were not appointed by the Director of Public Prosecution to prosecute criminal matters. This is in a matter in which Mr. Sichamba, his wife and son are facing corruption charges involving over 781 million kwacha and more than 10 million United States dollars. The trio was also arrested for possession of 140 properties suspected to be proceeds of crime. The accused and the said two companies recently took plea and pleaded not guilty to 133 counts of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime after the state added more charges to the initial 15 counts. Trial will commence on the 6th of March 2023. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Still in court, a building contractor has told the Economics and Financial Crimes Court that former Deputy Inspector General of Police Charit Katanga paid over 1 million kwacha for constructing a double-story house in Bonaventure, Lusaka. When the matter came up for continued trial, Osman Doja testified that Dr. Dilili and associates engaged his company, Coram Construction Limited, to build a double-story house for the accused at a total cost of 1.8 million kwacha. This is in a case in which Mrs. Katanga is facing one count of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime.
Several witnesses continue being presented by the state to give testimony in the corruption case. That former Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga is appearing before the subordinate court in Lusaka, with a state witness Tuesday morning testifying how his construction company, received a tender at a cost of over 1 million kwacha to construct a double-story house for the former police deputy IG. Osama Dodia, building constructors, told the Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court that in 2014 his construction company was engaged by the accused to construct the said double-story house in Bonaventure, Lusaka. According to the witness, after the completion of the said property, the cost came to a total value of 1.8 million kwacha, of which the accused paid in full. In cross-examination, when questioned if there was anything unusual about the contract, the witness responded in negative. Ms. Katanga, who served as the Deputy IG during the Patriotic Front administration, is accused of corruptly acquiring property, a charge which she has denied. She is facing one count of possession of property suspected of being proceeds of crime valued at over $2 million and 1.5 million kwacha contrary to Section 171 of the Forfeiture and Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010 of the laws of Zambia. It is alleged that the accused between the 1st of January 2017 and the 6th of June 2022 bought 10 Higer buses valued at over 26 million kwacha, property believed to have been corruptly gained. Trial continues in the matter. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
You're watching Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. When we return, we have more interesting stories. Stay with us.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. The Human Rights Commission has reminded the government to consider enacting a law criminalizing torture and other cruel, inhumane or degrading treatment in order to effectively combat the human rights violations that occur as a result of torture. Commission spokesperson Mwelwa Mulea has disclosed that although a number of cases of torture that were received by the Commission has reduced from 39 in 2021 to 19 in 2022, a case of torture is one too many, as torture is a grave violation of human rights that is prohibited under the international human rights laws. Mr. Mulea notes that some of the impairments suffered by suspects as a result of torture include loss of sight, hearing and teeth, broken limbs such as legs or arms, and mental disability. He says failing to end impunity on torture of suspects by the law enforcement officers means Zambia is failing short of meeting its international human rights obligation on outlawing torture. Government has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Worldwide Fund for Nature for the sustainable Luangwa project worth $2.9 million. Green Economy and Environment Minister Collins Nzovu says the project will be centered in Luangwa catchment area, where the hopes to expand is aimed at securing Luangwa water resources for shared social, economic and environmental benefits through integrated catchment management. Ms. Nzovu says government as a lead executing agency in coordination with WWF Zambia will ensure that the project benefits the intended target. This is contained in a statement read on his behalf by Ministry of Green Economy Director Human Resource and Administration Peggy Chirwa. Meanwhile, WWF US JF Project Director Tracy Smith says the agency will provide the technical oversight on behalf of the JF Secretariat and ensure that the project complies with all necessary policies. Let's look at this.
Environmental degradation due to climate change and human activity, among other factors, is a global concern, and efforts by respective governments to reduce the impact are gaining momentum as the climate clock is equally moving fast. In Zambia, parts of Lusaka, Central and Southern Province, among others, have the highest record of climate change effects. Tuesday, government and the World Wildlife Fund for Nature signed a memorandum of understanding for a project dubbed Sustainable Luangwa Project worth $2.9 million, funded by the Global Environmental Facility to run for at least 60 months. The Luangwa catchment area has a population of over 1.8 million people needing water for various human activities. WWF Zambia Country Director Nachilala Nkombo says the project will be executed in Mafinga district at the source of the Luangwa River, targeting Mafinga Hills and surrounding areas.
The Luangwa project comes to fruition as a very important milestone around the protection of the catchment that is facing significant threats. As noted before, the Luangwa system that just doesn't support the local economy that the DC manages there, it supports the overall economy within the Luangwa catchment. Without the water and the degradation and deforestation being arrested timely.
The value of focusing on the reduction of the threats to global significant wildlife, and also through LDCF funds, build adaptation capacity for local communities facing climate impacts in the same geographical area. We will take lessons from the Luangwa project process, both the successes and challenges.
And in a speech read on behalf of Green Economy and Environment Minister Collins Nzovu by Human Resource Director Administration Peggy Chirwa, Mr. Nzovu says government stands ready to work on measures aimed at safeguarding the lives of people not only in the Luangwa catchment area but countrywide.
My ministry recognizes the challenges facing our ecosystems and the need for more effective strategies and pragmatic approaches to protect the sources of rivers. It is for this reason that the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment has already developed various policies, strategies and plans to be among the key drivers for accelerated national efforts for environmental protection as guided by our 8th National Development Plan. And we are actualizing on the ground through projects such as the Sustainable Luangwa Project, supported by funding availed to Zambia by the Global Environment Facility, JEF, during its 7th replenishment, JEF 7.
Meanwhile, Muchinga Province Permanent Secretary Henry Mukungule says the natural environment in Muchinga Province, like any other parts of the country, have continued to suffer degradation due to adverse human activities threatening biodiversity, water quality and flow, adding that this project could not have come at a better time than now.
The meeting we are attending today signifies the commitment of Muchinga Province to the sustainable to the attainment of integrated natural resources management and sustainable environmental management. The province will continue with the strides aimed at improving the lives of our people through sound environmental management.
Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Water Development and Sanitation Minister Mike Mposha has disclosed that government will not use borrowed money for commercial lenders to implement the Zambia Water Investment Program for the year 2022 to 2030. Mr. Mposha says this is because Zambia is still grappling with a debt situation. Speaking during the high-level donor coordinating meeting on the Zambia Water Investment Program, Mr. Mposha stressed that water programs, which requires $5.7 billion United States dollars to be implemented by the year 2030, will have its funds mobilized through a diversity of financial arrangements except commercial debt. He adds that once implemented, the program is expected to create about 200,000 formal jobs and economic opportunities benefiting at least 2 million Zambians.
Tuesday, 21st February 2023, Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation led stakeholders for the high-level coordination meeting for cooperating partners and civil society organizations supporting water development and sanitation in Zambia. During the meeting, Minister of Water Development and Sanitation Mike Mposha emphasized that in order to attain the Vision 2030 of being prosperous middle-income country, the government is confident of making traction in the sector through the Zambia Water Investment Program.
Implementation of the Zambia Water Investment Program can be realized in a more realistic terms. It is for this reason why we are meeting this morning, so that we can logically commence the process to develop a responsive resource mobilization strategy. In addition, this meeting is also expected to make decisions on the roadmap for implementation of the program, of this program. It is my expectation that the friends of Zambia, in particular in the water sector gathered here today, will be equal to the task.
Meanwhile, Christine Otto, Deputy Head of Development Corporation, has hailed the government for making efforts to create jobs and raising resources in the water sector,
which is well aligned with Zambia's national guiding strategy, the 8 National Development Plan. Socio-economic transformation for improved livelihoods is the theme of the 8 National Development Plan, and His Excellency the President justifies this in his foreword of the 8 National Development Plan by saying that national development must go beyond growing the economy by ensuring that the Zambian people are at the center of everything in order to transform their livelihoods. Water supply and sanitation is assigned to the Strategic Development Area 2, Human and Social Development of the 8 National Development Plan. But in the foreword of the Zambia Water Investment Program,
Sampa Mulenda reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
In other news, Southern Province Local Government Officer Charles Stone Hamulieta has commended Gwembe Town Council for leading the way in ensuring that the presidential directive of making sure that no child sits on the floor by the year 2023 is actualized. Speaking when he interacted with various stakeholders in the constituency, Mr. Hamulieta says government is not imposing activities on the local authorities but ensuring that they prioritize projects that affect the most marginalized in society. Mr. Hamulieta has underscored the need for the ward development committees to assist the council in identifying projects that will help fulfill presidential directives, such as ensuring that all health facilities have maternal wings with water reticulation, as well as the provision of desks in schools.
With the increment in the allocation of Constituency Development Fund CDF from 25.7 million kwacha to 28.3 million kwacha, all constituencies are expected to present and actualize projects meant for the development of constituencies. Earlier, President Hakainde Hichilema stressed the need for local authorities to prioritize projects affecting the most vulnerable in society. To attain this, Gwembe Town Council Secretary in Southern Province Maliwa Muju says the local authority has submitted projects to the Provincial Local Government Office aimed at fulfilling the President's directive of ensuring that no pupils sit on the floor. Mr. Muju disclosed that his office has put in place projects such as building 1x3 classroom blocks and provision of desks in schools, as well as ensuring that all health facilities have maternity wings with a proper network of water supply.
Basically, as Gwembe, our CDF committee already sat and we did approve projects for 2023. When approving those projects, we had to follow the ministerial directives, the guidance that the ministry has given us, and looking also at the presidential directives. Basically, as Gwembe, there were good projects like the 1x3 classroom blocks, about 2 of them. These are coming as a full package. We have the 1x3 classroom block, which is coming with desks. It's also coming with water and recreation system. We are also going to have some solar panels, so that at least there's some light in this block of classrooms.
And Southern Province Local Government Officer Charleston Hamuliata has commended the Gwembe Town Council for leading the way in ensuring that the presidential directives are actualized. Mr. Hamuliata has reassured the council in the province that his office will ensure timely approval of all projects that will be submitted to his office.
Which is very, very good, because in some other districts it's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky, but I think we need to work above all. We need to work together so that we can support the vision of the president. He means well for us. He means well for the whole country, and that's how this battle that we developed has flown to every corner of this country. And I can assure you, this document that we have received from the council today, it will find its way very shortly in other people's hands, especially the local authorities. They have been phoning your CS. How did you do it?
Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
We take our second break. When we return, we have sports and international news. Stay with us.
Are you looking for a prime land where to build your dream house? There is a beautiful corner plot, 50 by 47 meters in State Road area. For viewing and purchasing of the same, call SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. Secure your future by settling in a nice and peaceful area.
Welcome back. In international news, he is the first of the opposition ruling party in Zimbabwe. Makoma is Shona, or the young man in Nelson Chamisa. The 45-year-old lawyer leads the Coalition for the Change party. In 5 months, Zimbabweans will vote in the presidential and legislative elections. Chamisa is ready for a tough campaign 5 months before the next election. In Zimbabwe, many avoid uttering the name Nelson Chamisa in public when talking about the main rival to President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Let's look at these international stories.
He is the face of the opposition to the ruling party in Zimbabwe. Nelson Chamisa leads the Coalition for Change party. In 5 months, Zimbabweans will vote in presidential and legislative elections. Chamisa is ready for a tough campaign.
Political and electoral processes in Zimbabwe have always attracted controversy, contestation, and various disputes. The plebiscite is littered with rigging, manipulation, and what we are seeing through the delimitation process is evidence of gerrymandering, trying to twist and turn the boundaries in favor of Mr. Mnangagwa, who is a conflicted individual and an interested party.
Ruling ZANU-PF party has been in power since independence. Newly founded CCC aims to bring change by taking the helm of the country. Regime change will not be enough, though. For Chamisa, Zimbabwe needs a pivotal shift.
We are a broken society. People have been battered, violated, and violence has been the hallmark of our country. We're a country, but we are not a nation. We need to rebuild our country, but more importantly, to become a nation, so that we have oneness, so that we have one common vision, so that we are one people once more.
The Coalition for Change Party's fresh energy has attracted many young people. Last year, it even won the majority of seats in by-elections. Yet repression is still real, the lawyer says.
Freedom of assembly has been hampered. We've had over 63 of our meetings just cancelled over the past week. And to date, hundreds and hundreds of our meetings have been disrupted or obstructed by the police or by ZANU-PF. My convoy was shotted. In fact, I'm lucky to be alive.
If the odds are stacked up against the opposition, Mukamana in Shona, or the young man in English, is determined to win. The date has yet to be set for the votes, which are expected to be early in August.
Tunisia's opposition Islamist Ennahda party announced that the head of the dissolved parliament and the party's veteran leader, Rachid Ghannouchi, is facing a police inquiry days after a string of arrests mainly targeting opposition political figures of President Kais Saied. It is obvious that it has become a policy adopted by the coup authorities that any allegation, complaint or tale-bearing filed without verifying its seriousness will mean that Ennahda's veteran leader Rachid Ghannouchi or all the opposition leaders will be summoned. We consider this a targeting, a harassment and a policy with an objective to divert the attention of the public opinion from the real issues that interest our people. At least 10 people, mostly opponents belonging to the Ennahda movement and its allies, but also the director of a major private radio station, have been arrested since early February in a net operation.
We go straight into sports news. In sports, former Watford boss Harvey Gracia is said to be named the manager of Leeds United, ending the club's search for Jesse Mesh's successor. Message was sacked on the 6th of February by the Whites, have faced several setbacks in their hunt for his replacement. Spaniard Gracia, 52, took Watford to the FA Cup final in 2019 before managing Valencia and Al Sadd in Qatar. Leeds are 19th in the Premier League and first bottom club Southampton on Saturday. Under 21 boss Michael Scubala has been in the interim charge since Marsh's sacking, despite club owner Andrea Rodrazzini initially promising a quick appointment. An approach for Rayo Valenciano Andoni was blocked while Feyenoord Slot ruled himself out. Former Ajax manager Alfred Schroeder fell out of the contention after a negative reaction from many fans. Gracia was sacked by Watford in September 2019 after a poor start to the season. Having been appointed in January 2018, he led the Hounds to the 11th place, finished in the Premier League and the first in the FA final in 35 years in his only full session in charge. Well, our news item brings us to the end of our news. The headlines once again. Former Health Minister claims the discharge of the honeybee case is a testimony of a watertight drug monitoring system. Government urged to criminalize torture. Some Lusaka residents resort to bottled water following contamination of boreholes. In international news, Zimbabwe's CC party ready for rough election. And in sports news, Leeds United said to name ex-Watford boss as manager. We look at the Camnet verse of the day. It's coming from Psalm 75, 1 and it reads, "We give thanks to you, O God, we give thanks, for your name is near. Men tell of your wonderful deeds." Thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Good night.